Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're journeying into, well, a really fascinating world, Hindustani classical music, HCM for short. It's this incredible art form, stretching back over 1,000 years. Our mission, really, is to peel back some layers and try to understand its, let's call it architecture. We want to figure out how musicians can have this seemingly boundless creative freedom, yet still work within these really ancient, quite rigid rules.
That's the core of it, isn't it? That paradox. Infinite variety, but inside fixed boundaries. It's the absolute lifeblood of this tradition. HCM is, it's truly a living system. You can trace its roots way back to ancient Vedic chants, these foundational Sanskrit texts. But what's really crucial, I think, is how it grew. It wasn't static. It absorbed so much from Persian, Arabic, Central Asian music over centuries. It really flourished through that exchange.
And the way it was preserved, it wasn't just books, right? It was mainly this direct transmission.
Exactly. It's the Guru Shishya Parampara, this sacred teacher-student lineage. The knowledge lived in the mind, the heart of the master, passed directly to the student.
That speaks volumes about the depth of the commitment needed.
It really does. It ensures it's not just technique being passed on. It's the emotional weight, the philosophy, the subtle nuances. They're internalized deeply before being shared or, built upon.
Okay, let's unpack this. If it's got the strict structure but thrives on constant spontaneous enrichment, what are the basic rules? What are those architectural pillars holding everything up?
Right. To get the architecture, you have to start with the two foundations, raga and tala. These are absolutely essential. Everything builds on them.
Okay, raga first. We know it's the melodic framework, but if it's just a scale, how does it manage to paint these incredibly specific emotional pictures? Joy, devotion, sadness. Where does that feeling part actually come from?
That's the key question. See, a raga is so much more than just a scale. Yes, it defines the ascending and descending note patterns, which notes get stressed, which are forbidden. Yeah. But the real emotion, the personality that lives in the space between the notes.
The space between the notes? What do you mean?
It's a technique called meaned. Think of it as subtle microtonal slides or glides between notes, tiny, tiny bends, not just whole steps or half steps. These infinitesimally small movements allow the musician to sculpt the sound, to give it emotional color. It's like the difference between just saying a word and singing it with real feeling. The raga is the skeleton, mean is the soul, the emotional skin.
Wow, okay. That makes the raga feel much more alive, much more dynamic for the listener. So raga handles the feeling, the melody. Tala then, that's the timekeeper.
Precisely. Tala is the rhythmic cycle, the temporal foundation. It's the canvas the raga artist paints on. It could be a simple 6-beat cycle, that's dadra, or maybe the really common, more complex 16-beat tala. But understanding Tala isn't just about counting 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's about feeling the anchor point, isn't it?
Exactly. The whole cycle pivots around the same. That's the first beat, the big downbeat, the moment of resolution. It's this sonic anchor the musician is away from, creating tension and release. And often just as important is the kali, the empty beat, usually a wave of the hand. It provides this moment of rhythmic suspension within the cycle. Finding the same, feeling that moment where melody and rhythm just lock in perfectly, that's your main navigation tool as a listener.
So it's this profound duality again. Raga gives the complex colors, Tala gives the grounding, unshakable structure, and somehow that discipline allows for this incredible freedom, this spontaneous improvisation.
That's it, exactly.
Okay, so if those are the rules, how do musicians actually use them? Let's look at the different ways this structure shows up in the main vocal styles. We hear about Dhrupad, Khyal, Thumri. How are they different?
Yeah, let's try some imagery. If Dhrupad is like the stark, detailed architectural blueprint, then Khyal is maybe a rich, elaborate oil painting built on that plan. And Thumri, that's more like an expressive, romantic poem.
Tell us about the blueprint first, Dhrupad.
Right, Dhrupad is the oldest form we still have. It's known for its austerity, its kind of spiritual seriousness. It focuses intensely on pure, unadorned melody, really revealing the raga structure. There's much less decoration. It's all about the absolute essence.
Then the oil painting, Khyal, that's the most popular one today, isn't it?
Yes, by far. Khyal means imagination or thought, and it's highly ornamental. You have these really elaborate, long improvisations built on just a short, fixed melody. The singer uses intricate tarians, these super fast melodic runs and complex decorations, to explore every possible angle, every emotion of the raga. It definitely allows for more individual fireworks, more virtuosity.
And the poem Thumri.
Thumri is considered semi-classical. It often leans into romantic or devotional themes. And unlike the strictness of Dhrupad or Khyal, Thumri gives the performer much more flexibility with the raga and tala rules. The main focus is emotional expression, often through the lyrics, and a very evocative, almost storytelling style.
And these voices aren't alone. They have this whole orchestra of instruments supporting them.
If we're thinking architecture, what should we listen for in the instruments they choose?
Good question. The instruments are often chosen specifically for their ability to execute mend and handle melodic flexibility. So for melody, strings are really key. You have the sitar, famous for that deep, resonant sound and the sort of shimmering buzz from its sympathetic strings. It's built for speed and intricate detail.
And the Sorod is different.
Very different feel. The sarod is fretless, that's crucial. It allows for incredibly smooth, deep bends and slides. Pure mend. It has a more, maybe masculine, powerful sound compared to the sitar's shimmer. And you also hear the violin adapted brilliantly to the HCM style.
Okay, melody covered. What about the rhythm, the heartbeat? That must be incredibly complex to manage all those different tabla cycles. Oh, absolutely. That's the domain of the tabla and sometimes the pakawaj. The tabla is the modern workhorse, that pair of hand drums played with amazing dexterity. The tabla player isn't just keeping time, they're in a constant rhythmic conversation with the main artist, weaving these complex patterns and variations within the fixed cycle. It's a real dialogue. The pakawaj is an older drum, larger, with a deeper sound. You often hear it with drupad.
And the instruments that feel like the breath, the soul.
That would be the bansuri flute and the shinai. The bansuri, the bamboo flute, often evokes this feeling of pastoral calm or deep personal emotion. It's very expressive. The shinai is a double reed instrument, quite piercing, often associated with celebrations, auspicious occasions. Very powerful sound.
Which brings us right to what really defines HCM for many people around the world, this art of unrepeatable improvisation. It's so different from Western classical, where the goal is perfecting a written score. Here, it's all about creating something new, right now. The musician starts with the composed bit, the bandish, then just takes off.
Takes off is a good way to put it. The bandish is often just a couple of lines, maybe 4 lines of melody and text. It's just the launching pad. The real art, the challenge, and the beauty is that the musician is essentially composing a masterpiece in real time, never knowing exactly where that journey will end up.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because I think this improvisation part can be the toughest for new listeners. If a performance goes for, say, 2 hours and it's all spontaneous, how do you, the listener, actually follow along? Our sources point to a clear 4-part structure. That seems essential for navigating it.
It is essential. This structure is your roadmap for following the creative process as it unfolds. It pretty much always starts with the alapa.
The alapa, what's happening there?
Alapa is pure exploration. It's slow, very meditative. Its only job, really, is to establish the mood, the personality of the raga. And crucially, there's no rhythm accompaniment, no tabla yet. The main artist is completely free in time, just focusing on the raga's nuances, using that subtle mean.
So very atmospheric. How does the energy start to pick up?
That's the next stage, the jor. Here, the musician starts to introduce a subtle pulse, a sense of rhythmic flow, momentum builds. But still no fixed tala cycle. It's a transition, moving from that deep introspection towards rhythmic drive.
That moment when the percussion finally comes in must feel electric.
It really is.
Yeah.
That marks the bandish section. The tabla player enters, setting the specific tala, like maybe that 16-beat teen tala. The main artist then plays the fixed composition, the bandish itself, perfectly aligned with the sound, that main beat. This short composition becomes the foundation for everything that comes next.
And then comes the real fireworks, the main improvisation.
That's the vista, the expansion. This is where the elaborate improvisation on that fixed bandish happens. The melodic artist and the percussionist get into this incredible dialogue with increasingly complex, fast rhythmic and melodic exchanges. This is where you really see the virtuosity, the deep understanding of the raga's potential, and that amazing skill of always landing perfectly back on the same after the wildest improvisational flights.
And every single time that 4-part cycle unfolds, it's completely unique. A one-off creation built on that spontaneous energy, but always within that strict ragatala cage.
Exactly. And this incredible tradition, this mastery, it's carried by legendary artists who really shaped what...
What does this all mean for you, the listener, maybe hearing this for the first time? How do you get past feeling overwhelmed and actually connect with it? These listening guidelines we found seem less like suggestions and more like actual tools.
They really are practical tools. First thing, understand it's a journey. Give it time. A performance might be 90 minutes, 2 hours, even 3. That length isn't arbitrary. It's needed to fully explore the raga's character. So try not to worry about where it's going. Just be present with how it's unfolding moment by moment.
Focus on the journey, right? And now that we know the structure, we can listen for things.
Exactly. Since it evolves, listen for those shifts. Can you hear when it moves from the pure melody of the yalapa into the pulsed rhythm of the jor? Recognizing those transitions gives you handles, landmarks along the way.
And keep an ear on the pulse, the rhythm.
Definitely. Actively listen for that interplay between the tala, the rhythm, and the raga, the melody. And specifically, try to catch that moment they lock onto the main downbeat, that point of convergence. It's often where the intensity peaks. It's incredibly satisfying when you start to feel it coming.
And finally, the advice is to treat it almost like meditation. Let yourself feel the emotional world the raga is building, particularly with those microtonal slides, the mend.
Because ultimately, this music aims for something profound. It's meant to be a bridge, connecting that disciplined earthly structure with something much more free, more spiritual, more expressive.
What an incredible deep dive. We've really tried to get inside the architecture of Hindustani classical music. We've looked at that core duality, the structure of raga and tala, and then the amazing spontaneous freedom of the improvisation, guided by that four-part journey: alapa, jor, bandish, vistar.
And maybe a final thought for you as you go to listen. Remember that paradox about the performance slang. It's not just long for the sake of it. It takes that time for the artist to gradually, spontaneously reveal every subtle shade of the raga's personality. Think about the depth of understanding conceptual, the technical, emotional chasing an artist must possess to sustain that level of spontaneous creation for 2 or 3 hours, crafting an entirely unique emotional journey using those tiny mean inflections, never repeating the same path twice. That depth of knowledge driving spontaneous beauty, that's the magic you're really listening for.